Hi, third graders. It is time for lesson 1.11. We will be working with combined place value in order to subtract. I want you to stop and take a minute or a couple of seconds to think about what the word combined means. It means to add together. So keep that in mind. So here's a story problem that we're going to use to explain this idea to you. Elena collected 431 bottles for recycling. Pete collected 227 fewer bottles than Elena. How many bottles did Pete collect? Now, we know that it's important to read a problem first through, and then the second time, collect the important math information. So as I read this again, Elena collected 431 bottles for recycling. Pete collected 227, and this is important, fewer bottles than Elena. How many bottles did Pete collect? So ask yourself, what are they asking me? They are asking, how many bottles did Pete collect? So what we need to do is set up our problem. So we are going to take 431, and we know that Pete collected 227 fewer. That tells us to subtract. So our problem's set up. But first what I want to do is I want to do an estimation. So, we can just put E. I'm going to estimate to the hundreds place, okay? So, I'm going to estimate 431 to 400 and 227 to 200, and that equals 200. You can use compatible numbers if you want, but this is a little bit easier to do hundreds. When I look at this problem, I'm going to look at the ones place. You know where that is. There's a little dot just to show you where the ones place is, correct? So, I'm going to say to myself that since 7 is greater than 1, I'm going to combine the place value. I'm going to combine the tens and the ones place. So here I go. I'm combining that. And I'm going to think now there are 31 ones and 27 ones. And then I'm going to subtract the 27 from the 31. Now, if you want and you're more comfortable with addition, go ahead and count up from 27 to 31. What do you have left? I'm going to write a 0 in the tens and a 4 in the ones because I know that the difference between 31 and 27 is 4. They're pretty close, aren't they? Then I'm going to subtract the hundreds. And 4 minus 2 equals 2. So Pete collected 204 bottles. Now I want to stop and ask myself, does that come close to my estimate? And it sure does. So my answer is reasonable. Okay? Now, if you wanted to check this, go ahead and take the 204, that was your answer. I should say difference. I should really use those math terms. Take the 204, add it with the 227 that was less, and put those together. Then I can say to myself, well, that's 11. I'm going to carry my 1. That makes 3. And this is 4. It's a good way of checking. You do not have to write this whole problem. I should have said that earlier. If you want to just write the math, go ahead and do that. Sorry about that. So here's the second problem. I have 513 minus 482. I'm first going to estimate and say that I will take the 500 and round to the nearest 10, because I can't round both of those to the 100 or I'm going to get 500 minus 500. So I'm going to say 510 minus 480. When I look at that, I am going to combine place value, even in the estimate. I'm going to say, okay, what is the difference between 51 and 48? Think of your number line or your hundreds chart. You got it. It's 3. And then I know 0 minus 0, of course. So my estimate is going to be 30. Now I'm going to do the actual problem. And I'm going to show you that I'm actually doing the same that I did in the estimate. So we know that is a difference of 3. And then if I look at the ones column, I've got 3 minus 2. You got it. That's 1. So take a moment and look at this problem. You look at the tens place, and you know that 8 is greater than 1, so you're going to combine the place value, combine the hundreds and the tens this time. 51 minus 48, you've got it, equals 31. Does this answer seem reasonable? When you look at 31 and 30, those are so close. It's a reasonable answer. So here's another problem. We've got 500 minus 100 and, wait a second, I wanted to do, sorry about that, 73. I want to estimate it. This is what I was thinking now, you'll know. I'm going to use friendly or compatible numbers. I'm going to say 500 minus 175, which equals 325. I know I've got 25 left to make it up to 200, and then the 300. So after I've done my estimate, I need to look at the number, and I need to combine. But when looking at this problem, I know I need to combine the hundreds and tens because I can't use the ones. Why, you say? I can't subtract 3 ones, which is right here. I can't subtract 3 ones from 0. Remember what we say? Bigger bottom, you've got to borrow. So I am going to use this. I'm going to combine here, but I do know that I have to show some regrouping. So I've got here 49 because I'm going to make this 10. Okay, I took one set from the 50. Then what I can do is say 10 minus 3, and that's one of those easy facts that you do in fluency for us. 10 minus 3 equals 7. Now look at how easy this is. 49 minus 17, 9 minus 7 equals 2. 4 minus 1 equals 3. So our answer is 327. Is that reasonable? Take a look and see, is it close to our estimate? Great. So one last problem, and we're going to do it 2 different ways. First, we're going to estimate, excuse me. So here's my estimate, and I'm going to look at using compatible numbers. I'm going to say Sorry about that. My stylus stopped working, so I had to get another one. My estimate is going to be 850 minus 450. Using compatible numbers, that equals 400. First, I want to stop and think about the place value. When I look at the 8, I know that the 8 is greater than the 1, so bigger bottom borrow. This has to become a 4, and this will become an 11. So then I will take this, do this in a different color, and make this 84 minus, why isn't this working? Here we go. 84 minus 44. Well, that's pretty easy. That's going to equal 40. And then I just have to do another fact like we do for our fluency. 11 minus 8 equals 3. But look at it another way also. You could also do the problem by combining 51 and 48. What does that equal? Count up or count down. You're right. I have to put a 0 in the 10 spot because I have no zeros, and I need to put a 3 in the 1 spot. Then all I have to do is 8 minus 4 equals 4. Now take a look at our estimate. The estimate of 400, if you look at these two, 403, does that seem reasonable? It sure does. So here are some practice problems for tonight. There's 4 of them. I put E's there to remind you to do your estimate first. And just remember to stop and ask yourself if the number below has a bigger value. And if it does, you know, bigger bottom borrow. That's going to affect which place values you combine because you're going to have to do some regrouping, okay? I'll give you a hint. Only one of them does not need it. All right, third graders, thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.